Hello, Meadowlawn families. I'm Mrs. Rogers, and I'm going to read chapters 37 to 40 of Fish in a Tree. Chapter 37, A Chicken, a Wolf, and a Problem. Because it's Fantastical Friday, Mr. Daniels has planned a puzzle for us to solve. He draws some squiggly lines from the top to the bottom on the board and tells us it's a river. Then he proves he is the worst artist ever by drawing a chicken, a wolf, and a bag of grain on one side of the water. Mr. Daniels, did you draw that with your eyes closed? Oliver yells. No offense, but that's terrible. He laughs. I'm not offended, Oliver. I have eyes to see it. Then he looks at me. We are not all wired to be gifted artists. Then he adds a little boat, which looks a lot like a banana on the bank of a river. Okay, he says, here is your problem to solve. You need to get all three of these items across the river, but you can only take one item at a time in the boat. You can't leave the wolf alone with the chicken because the chicken will become lunch. You can't leave the chicken with the grain or the grain will become lunch. So how do you get all three items across the river? Remember, only one item in the boat at a time. Easy, yells Oliver. You just take the chicken first. What happens after that? Then you take the grain. But what will happen to the grain when you go back for the wolf? After a couple of seconds, Oliver drapes himself over his desk. Mr. Daniel pats Oliver on the back. It's okay, kiddo. It's supposed to be hard. Mr. Daniel turns to Suki. Any idea? She puts her finger on her chin. If you take the grain first, if you take the wolf, she sighs and shrugs. I don't know. Albert's eyebrows are so scrunched up they look like they'll cover his eyes. Take a few minutes to try to solve this on your own. Then we'll talk about it in a bit. I can't figure it out. No one can. Most kids have drawn a river and the animal like Mr. Daniels did. After a while, kids start talking to each other. I'm surprised when he doesn't tell us to be quiet while we try to keep solving it. I tear off the three little pieces of paper and draw the chicken on the first, the grain on the second, and the wolf on the third. I move them around, back and forth across the river. The class is loud now. I pick up my three pieces of paper and ask Mr. Daniels if I can work in the hallway because of the noise. Sure, go ahead. I'm out there just a few minutes, moving my pieces around when Shay and Jessica come out. They sit across the hall from me. I guess they came out here to work too? This is dumb, Jessica says. Tell me about it, Shay answers. Who cares about chickens and wolves or whatever? Do you know the answer, Allie? Jessica asks. Why are you asking her? Of course she doesn't know, Shay says. She whispers something to Jessica, and soon after, Shay is holding up signs with words. Can you read this, Allie? I try to ignore them. I am not going to let her see me upset. I remember, life with Shay is like playing chess. Don't get flustered. Don't make mistakes. Aw, you can't read it, can you? The baby voice doesn't bother me as much as the words themselves. I try to concentrate on solving this problem. Shay moves closer to me. You are so stupid. Allie, you know Mr. Daniels is only nice to you because he feels sorry for you. Come on, Shay, let's go back inside, Jessica squeaks. Don't come on me, Shay snaps. Whose side are you on? I'm on yours, Shay says, but it doesn't sound of loyalty. It's the sound of fear. I stand up and go into the classroom and go to the corner behind Mr. Daniels' desk. It's hard for me to push the sound of Shay's voice out of my head, but I remind myself that just because someone says it doesn't make it true. I concentrate on the 3 pieces of paper, the chicken, the wolf, and the grain. I move the pieces of paper around on the floor. It takes me a while, but I realize that you need to take more than 3 trips. You need to take the chicken and then the grain, but then take the chicken back with you and leave it while you take the wolf. Then you leave the wolf with the grain and go back for the chicken. I leap up. I got it! Keisha and Albert are surprised. So am I. Mr. Daniels comes over and I whisper the answer in his ear. Impressive work, Allie. He says I can go around and help the others for the last remaining minutes. Allie, Max says in a loud whisper. What's the answer? Come, tell us how you did it. By now, Shay and Jessica have come back in, and they are seeing me help Max. When I swing by her, Shay says in a low voice, You're still a loser, Allie. A total and complete loser. But Jessica smiles a bit at me. Mr. Daniels calls us back to our seats. Okay, that was a 2-part assignment. The first was to solve the puzzle. The second was to see who would stick with it, who would work on it until it was solved. Congratulations to the few of you that did. If you are the one of the many that gave up and started talking to your friends about soccer or other things, I want you to consider that no matter how smart you are, success is reached with hard work too. I can't believe it. My experience with endless frustration and having to work on things for so long has actually paid off. I guess maybe I'm having trouble is not the same as I can't. Chapter 38, Loser for President. So, Fantasticos, Mr. Daniels says, I've told you about nominating a class president for our first ever school-wide student government. Do we have our first nomination? Jessica raises her hand. I nominate Shay. Shay looks back at her and turns forward. She looks like she's ready for her crown. Okay, good. Another nomination? No one. Come on, we can't have an election with only one name. I wait, glancing around. I know there will be no more names because Shay has made it known since Mr. Daniels first announced the election that anyone who runs against her will regret it. In fact, their children and their children's children will regret it. And she can actually do something like that. Nope, there will be no more names. Albert raises his hands. Whoa, Albert, way to be brave. I glance back at Shay, whose eyes are now like little slits. But then Albert just asks to go to the bathroom. After waiting and prodding, Mr. Daniels finally says, I'll draw a name out of a hat or tell the council that we don't have a representative. Come on, folks, step up. Another wait. Then Shay raises her hand. Well, Shay, this is good sportsmanship. Who will you nominate? Shay cracks a smile. I nominate Allie Nickerson. Wait, no, she didn't say me. I look back at her staring at me while Mr. Daniels compliments her again. And then it hits me like a boulder. Of course, she wants to win, so she nominated me, a surefire loser. Is that okay? Mr. Daniels asks me. Can I say no? Yeah, you can say no, but I think you should run. I really, really want to say no, just not to him. Okay, I'll do it, I guess. Good, he says. Now both of you will need to say a few words tomorrow, and the voting will follow. Oh, I get to write a speech? Shay says to Jessica. Then I hear her whisper, I am terrified. I can't write a speech. After school, Mr. Daniels apologizes for not being able to help me today because he's in class at the college. However, he suggests that I just be honest about why I want to be president of the class. He asks if my mom can work with me that night. I tell him she will. I know she would in a heartbeat, but I would never ask her to help with this. It would just get her hopes up. I figure I should write something down if Shay is going to. I'll look like a baby with no speech. So I sit down at our dining room table with a blank piece of paper, all bright and white and staring at me and making my head hurt. I want to ask my mom for help so bad, but if she knows I'm running for president of the class, she'll get excited. She'll want it even more than me. I'm afraid to want it. But a mind movie shows me in front of the class and Mr. Daniels congratulating me, and I have to admit that I would really like it. I pick up the pencil and concentrate real hard. When I write, I press on the paper too hard, but I can't help it. It makes my hand hurt. I try to spell as best I can. It takes me an hour and a half to write 2 paragraphs. I finally go to bed, praying for a high fever, the kind of sickness the whole town talks about, the kind of sickness that Albert would find super interesting. A good reason not to show up tomorrow. Chapter 39. To Shay. On the way to school, I wonder about taking the long way, like through Mexico. When I arrive, the first thing I see is Albert, who has a black eye. Albert, Keisha says, when are you going to teach those boys a lesson? It's nothing, he says, all serious. And then he gets happy. Look, he holds up a big sign for me. Allie is your ally. Give her your vote. You made a poster for the election? I ask, smiling. I know I'm going to lose, but this makes it okay. Thank you, Albert. He looks proud. But, why does it say my name twice? Your name is a hominin. I should know better than to ask Albert. You know a word with the same spelling but different sounds and meanings. A-L-L-Y spells your name, but it also spells ally with a long I sound at the end. An ally is someone who is on your side, someone who sticks by you, like allies in wars. Shay comes by with Jessica. She looks at the poster, then at the 3 of us. Good luck, 6-legged freak. I guess Allie will get 3 votes anyway. After they leave, I look at the 3 of us and I think how there are 3 primary colors, yellow, blue, and red. Those 3 colors create every other color ever. Keisha goes over to talk to Suki while I take a deep breath and turn to Albert. I know I'm going to lose, and Shay will never let me forget it. I look down at the desk and I see Albert's sign. But at least I'll have a poster. I smile at him. Can I bring it home? Yes, but you can't give up, Albert says. Okay, well, maybe you're right, Albert, but you shouldn't give up either. I am not nominated for class president. I point at his black eye. But you got beat up again, didn't you? He shifts his weight and looks away. It's hardly the same, he says, and I feel sad that he doesn't see that it isn't too different. Then Keisha returns. Are you ready for today? No, I shake my head. Ready for public humiliation? How do I get into these things? She leans over and whispers, You'll do a good job. Albert and I are voting for you no matter what you say in your speech. I half smile. What if I say you have to lick the lunch tables clean? Well, I just won't do it. That will be easy, Keisha says, pushing my shoulder. Albert adds, "It depends on what we have for lunch that day." We laugh. I'm happy that he doesn't seem mad about my questioning him. Mr. Daniels is wearing a George Washington tie. He gets up and calls Shay to present first. I notice she is dressed in red, white, and blue. I look down. I didn't even think about wearing anything special. Shay talks about how great she is and all that she'll do. Kids applaud over her promises. Some of the things she says she'll do, I can't imagine how she would pull off, like extra recess and longer snack times. When she promises new, bigger lockers for the hallways, I know she can't do that. With every sentence, kids are happier, and I feel even smaller and smaller. I get up there holding my paper. The sound that comes out of my mouth doesn't sound like a real word. I try again and get the same sound. Then 4 more times. The quiet laughs rise all around me, but Mr. Daniels holds his palm toward the class without taking his eyes off me, and the noise stops. I feel hot. Then Etch-a-Sketch brain hits me, and I go blank, staring at a page that I wrote, that I can't read. Shay looks smug, and it makes it even harder. Mr. Daniel bends over, resting his hands on his knees. He whispers, "Look, you can do this, and you can hit it out of the park, too." I shake my head a little. "I believe in you, Allie. Now forget what you wrote. Put the paper down and take a deep breath. Close your eyes if it makes you nervous to see everyone, and just be honest. Be you." He slides the paper out of my hands, and I stand there silent for too long. I do close my eyes, wishing it would block their view of me as well. Mr. Daniels' voice is gentle, almost a whisper. "I want to be president of the class because I think it will be fun, and I think I would like it," I say, my eyes still closed. "Good. Keep going," he says. "I promise to be honest. I promise to work hard. I promise to listen to everyone who has ideas, not just my friends, because I would be in charge of the whole class. Well, not in charge exactly, but I want everyone to have a chance to give their ideas. I'll go to meetings, and I would try to get extra things like recesses, but I can't promise that I can do something like that." I open my eyes and look at Mr. Daniels. "Can I do that?" "Actually, no. You don't want to get me fired, do you?" I shake my head, feeling kind of dazed. "Do you have anything else to say?" "I don't think so." "Okay, then." He motions toward my seat, and I sit down, stunned that it's over. "Now for the vote," he says. He begins to pass out little pieces of paper. "Wait," Shay says. "All the other teachers just had everyone raise their hands." "Well, I thought it should be more like a real election, a secret ballot. Everyone will write the name of their choice for class president on the paper and fold it up. I will walk around to collect them." "That's not fair." "Well," he shrugs, "if it's good enough for the U.S. government, it's good enough for us." I smooth out the tiny piece of paper and try hard to be neat. There's a lump in my throat as I write down my own name, and I don't even know why. Maybe because I'm not writing it down on a sign in a sheet for detention or signing an apology for something. I fold it 1, 2, 3 times and put it in the basket when Mr. Daniels comes by. He says he'll let us know later, but everyone begs him to count now. So he does. He opens the first one, Shay. He opens another, Shay. He opens a third, Shay. But when he opens the next 4, they are for me, and I'm surprised. A couple more for Shay, and then 4 more for me. 4 more? I can't imagine who would vote for me. I thought everyone loved Shay. But as I look around the room, some kids are glancing at me, and some actually look happy. Oliver and Suki and a bunch of other kids. Toward the end of the counting, when it looks like I've actually won, Shay crosses her arms and falls back in her chair. In the end, Mr. Daniels shakes hands with Shay and tells her she ran a good campaign. Then he turns to me and says, "Congratulations, Madame President Nickerson." Then he salutes me and laughs. The class claps. Keisha is up and dancing while Albert gives me a single nod. "Mr. Daniels," Max raises his hand. "I think this calls for a party." "Why, Max? Because it's Wednesday?" "Any day is a good day for a party, Mr. D," he says, and Shay looks annoyed with him. But her real dagger eyes are saved for me. At least she's quiet for once, and that's perfectly fine with me. Chapter 40. Tears of Different Kinds. Keisha and Albert call me Madam President every chance they get. And at the end of the day, we head out to the front of the school, and I am just so happy. Like I could fly happy. A loud, sharp voice interrupts my happiness. "What do you mean, you lost? You lost?" Shay is standing with her mother. "After all that time we spent writing that speech," she said, "did you look at the audience? Did you speak up and smile?" I did all of that. The other girl just got more votes." Shay sounds like someone completely different. The Shay I know, always so quick to pick a fight, now has a voice that sounds like a kindergartner. "Sorry, Mama." She brushes a tear from her cheek. "Man," Keisha says, "that woman is fierce." "Geez, I can't believe it, but I feel sorry for Shay," I say. No way," Keisha says. "Don't be feeling sorry for her. It's not an excuse to go around doing terrible things to other people." "Yeah, I guess you're right." "Have you learned nothing?" she asks. "Of course I'm right." We laugh, and she gets on her bus. All of a sudden, I am in a rush to get to A.C. Peterson's. Running through the glass doors of Peterson's, I forget that I was going to be cool about telling my mom that I'm the class president. I forget about telling her like it's any other thing. Instead, I jump up and down and say it loud enough that some of the regulars congratulate me before she does. Her face says she's trying to figure out if she heard me right. "Yes," I say, nodding furiously. "Mom, they voted me class president. The kids in my class. Not the teacher, the kids did." She holds her arms out, and I run into them. "I'm so proud of you," she says in a shaky voice. I know she's crying. I can't believe it. I know why she's crying. I can't believe it either.